Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Let's continue.
The eminent monk today, his name was Zhi Ming. Actually, it's Zhi Yan. It was a mispronunciation by Master YongHua.
他是在这个近代以后，当时宋帝。
He was from the dynasty after Jing dynasty. He was from the period of Emperor Wu of Song. Emperor Wu of Song.
这位高僧是西安，就是现在新疆。
That eminent monk, this eminent monk was from Xi'an, today's Xinjiang area.
他20岁出家，出家之后啊，就是专修苦行，勤小不辍。
He left the home life at the age of 20. After that, he specialized in ascetic practice. He studied diligently and unceasingly.
也是日中一时，常坐俯卧。
He also ate one meal a day at noon and did long sits without lying down.
出家虽然没有好久，但是他这种好的名誉，毕竟呢，对四方人知。
Although he had not left the home life for a long time, people from all over already knew of his good reputation.
他所穿的衣服是衲衣就是各部缝到一起，衲在一起。
He wore a patched robe. A patched robe is one which is sewn together from ragged clothes. Patched here means patched together.
他常常呢宴坐，宴坐呢就是进行双家合作，一坐啊，随着3天，随着7天，随着10天，随着半个月。 他呀，
often sat steadily. Sitting steadily is to sit in full lotus. Once he started sitting, he would sit for 3 days, or 7 days, or 10 days, or half a month continuously.
当时在西安这个地方都很荒凉，没有什么人很少的，地方很大，人很少。
At that time, Xi'an was a very desolate place. There were not many people, very few people, lots of land, but very few people.
那么佛法当然更谈不到，所以他就要出去参访。
So, of course, there wasn't any Buddha Dharma, so he wanted to 参访.
参访呢，就是到各处去参详，就是参观其他的地方休息，其他地方调子。
参访 means to visit everywhere, to study, to visit other places and study their tradition and culture.
就是这种修行方法，修善知识。
Such cultivation is called 参访 and is to seek a good knowing advisor.
所以他就从中国向外国去走，又走到这个毕宾国。这毕宾国这个一个精舍叫摩天陀罗精舍。
Thus, he left China and walked to other countries. He walked to Bibing. When he got to Bibing, he arrived at a vihara called Yamadara Vihara.
Okay, let's stop and walk back a little bit so that we can keep everyone up to date. Okay, you can follow the story. So the monk name was Chu Yin, and he was after the Sung Dynasty. He was a famous monk, was a high-ranking monk, well-known, from Xi'an or the current Xinjiang area, so the Uyghur people are. Okay. And I left home life at the age of 20. For the Chinese, that's pretty late. Many of them, many eminent monks would leave the home life at a much earlier age. But he made up with it with ascetic practices. Okay, so ascetic practices are the specialized Buddhist practices that are very good for cultivation. Like eating one meal a day, not lying down, wearing 3 robes only and nothing else, and they don't have anything else but 3 robes, a bowl, and so forth. Unlike us nowadays, we have winter clothes, summer clothes. Okay, back then they only have 3 sashes as clothing, and the sashes were made of patched rope, meaning that they collected because fabric was expensive back then, and there were not a lot of support. So they would have to climb into and pick up garbage bins and pick up discarded rags, bring it back, clean it, wash it thoroughly, and dye it in the proper color and sew it up and then dye in the proper color and turn it into a sash. So that's the beginning of the sashes back then. So you only wear 3 robes. You do sequential begging. You go through. You don't cook for yourself. You go through every day. You go do alms bowl rounds. You go and beg for food, and you stop at 7 houses in sequence. Okay, and if they don't give you anything, then you don't eat that day. And you bring it back. If they give you anything, bring it back and share with the people who could not go alms bowl rounds, like the elderly monks and so forth. Okay, and so there's a lot of these ascetic practices that were ingeniously designed to help us build a foundation very, very quickly, and that's one of the things that Master Hsuan, great Master Hsuan, brought to our country, to the U.S., and he taught us certain ascetic practices that were very good at helping build his disciples and their followers a very strong foundation. Okay, if you I noticed that their ascetic practices, the way they practice, like they eat 1 meal a day. What else? Most of them don't lie down to sleep. What else? I don't know what else they do. But those few practices were very helpful at building their foundation. Okay, because in a way, it's very difficult to maintain those ascetic practices unless you have the proper mindset, okay, the proper purity of mind. So it's very conducive to building a proper foundation, and that's the unspoken. That's a secret. Their secret sauce, if you will. That is, on that side, they specialize in that in order to build a foundation. Okay, so it's the Chinese strength. They do that, and so there are some clear advantages because the results speak for themselves. Under Master Hsuan, plenty of his disciples certified the 4th-stage Arhat, and a good number also became enlightened. So it's a very strong foundation. Okay. That is to be praised. Not sure. So there's a lot more going on, but he chose to do that in order to help, as far as I see it, to help to build the proper foundation. And then, of course, on top of it, he also did more himself in terms of training them and teaching them. Okay, but regardless, you need to have the proper ascetic practice, the proper foundation, and then they build it right there via the ascetic practices. Whereas the monks and nuns nowadays, in a typical temple, they don't really spend enough time building the foundation. And some of the monks and nuns who realize the importance of the building a foundation, they would go, like in Taiwan, in China, and so forth. In Asian countries, they would go to places that specialize in teaching the Vinaya. Vinaya is basic foundation. You learn Buddhist Vinaya, that's to build your foundation. So when you become a monk, you first learn, after you fully ordain, you first learn about Vinaya to build your foundation. Okay, and so they would go, nowadays the monks would go to the temples to learn Vinaya, and those places are good because they learn about the precept marks, meaning what precepts involve, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, and so forth, even though they lack the depth, but it's good to learn about the marks. Okay, so the strength is that they go and learn about the marks, and they go back to their temples, and they observe the ceremonies, like, for example, on the first lunar day of the month, on the 15th day of the lunar month, they would recite precepts, okay? And so those are very good practices, absolutely. However, what is weak in their approach is, even though they understand the precepts process or precept marks, the words, the description of the precepts, they don't have the accompanying the equally important and parallel process of building samadhi as well, because precepts are designed to help you reach samadhi quicker. So if you don't have, even if you do observe the precepts, but you don't have the technology, the Chan technology or other technology to help you increase your samadhi power, it's not time well spent. Meaning you have knowledge how to build a foundation, but you don't have the foundation, if you will. Does it make sense or not? Am I making sense? It's so clear to me, but I'm not sure I'm doing a good job explaining to you. You read a book, it's only knowledge, book knowledge, okay? You need to have the samadhi power in order to penetrate the meaning behind the books. Okay? Same thing. You observe precepts of not killing, not stealing, but you need to have samadhi power to understand the depth of the precepts. Okay? And unless your foundation is, the depth will make your foundation stronger. That's how you can climb higher. Okay? Otherwise, you only learn from the books, like most people do nowadays, what the monks, nuns, or professors, or lay people, they read a lot, and they learn a lot from the books, on the scriptures. But they don't have the foundation, the samadhi. That's why whatever they know is very, very shallow. And that's a problem with Buddhism nowadays. And Master YongHua was the first monk who, even though he was not trained himself, he looked at his life story. No one really trained him. He never really trained under a good temple where they have a good training program, a good Chan program, or a good Vinaya program, so forth. He understood. He understood about precepts, understood about Chan, and understood about sutras, and that's why when he brought Mahayana to our country, he gave us a very strong foundation. Okay, and we should all be very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that. Okay, in that, unfortunately for me personally, I didn't get much direct training from him. Okay, but I saw the Dharma behind it. I was lucky enough to go into the Weiyang training, Chan training. That's why I was able to understand why later. Why I spent 4 years learning about those things, and no one could tell me why, because those people's samadhi level is too low. Okay, so typical of the monks and nuns nowadays, they go and just follow the schedule, and they really don't have this drive like I had. I hope you also have in improving, in developing samadhis, okay? Because that is the quintessential Buddhist training. Okay, I find that in Mahayana or even in Hinayana, the way they pass down knowledge is by training you, by helping you build your samadhi power. Okay, without samadhi, you don't have the depth. It's nothing we can do. We can't teach you. I explain to you, but you don't get it. It's nothing I can do. Okay, so that's why I think Master YongHua was a very unusual situation where he really had no formal training at all, and yet he understood very well how to train his disciples. Okay, and so the interesting thing about him is that he only specified a few ascetic practices for us. Typically, the Buddhists would go through 12. Mahayana people would do 12 different practices. He only taught us like not eating before noon and not lying down to sleep, okay, for most of his disciples and so forth. And that seems to be enough to help them become enlightened. So it's very unusual, very, we didn't have to go through, in my generation, didn't have to go through learning about all Vinaya and learning a lot of books. We just had enough, we learned enough and practiced enough in order to make it. So that's an incredible gift, if you will. Okay? And so it also, to me, it also tells me of the importance of getting there and looking back. You need to get up there. Then you look back and understand why. Okay? Instead of trying to develop or gather knowledge first and then build from there. So his is an expedient where you learn enough, you do enough, you know enough so that you get up there. Okay? And then you can research and do whatever you want. You can dig back into precepts, you can dig back into sutras and so forth. Because the worldly approach is the exact opposite. Worldly approach for us, we go get a PhD, we learn a lot, we memorize a lot, okay? And then we synthesize them, hoping that eventually we build some kind of depth. Whereas in Buddhism, Buddhist training is we only learn enough, the way Master YongHua trained us, and then you build a depth so they can dig deeper. Okay? Once you get the depth, you can look at anything and say, that's why. Okay? So, to me, I'm very grateful for that. Because without that, I would have gone to the usual thing the monks and nuns would do, lay people would do, is go and read a lot of books and scriptures. And it's not a very good way to go about studying and go about cultivating. Okay? So Master YongHua is an incredible teacher. Let me tell you that. Okay, so ascetic practices, and he also studied, this guy here studied Chu Yin, studied diligently, unceasingly. Okay, this tells you that the way many of you are doing at this Shangqi here, to be diligent and seasonally, meaning you don't rest, you keep on at it. It doesn't matter whether it's cold, you go at it. Where you're hungry, you still go at it. Whether I yell at you, you still go at it. I make fun of you, you still go at it. Okay, unceasingly. No matter what, no one distracts you from your practice. Okay? And this is what you need to build Samadhi power. Okay? Contrast that to the monks and nuns who keep on acquiring knowledge. They don't have Samadhi power. And that's why in our Mahayana world, the way we train you is Samadhi, Samadhi, Samadhi first. And then feel free to go into any sutra, any area you like that interests you. Okay? All right. So we have the secret sauce for developing talents. So when he's talking about 人才 or talent, Mahayana training, Mahayana talent, he's actually know that he was implying that I am developing you as Mahayana talent. That's what he told his disciples. That's what he meant. You Mahayana talents, he says, you are being trained to be Mahayana talents. Okay, ate one meal a day at noon, did long sits lying down. You see, this is what he also taught us. Okay, one meal at noon, long sits lying down. Okay, this, by the way, is very good at reducing your sexual desires. Okay, and he became very famous. People noticed he did something unusual. Okay, he could do things that other monks and nuns could not. So he became well known. People pay attention to him. Okay, wore a patch robe. Na is you sew them together, and he sat a lot. He could sit for days, for weeks. Okay, and that's very remarkable. Meaning he can build samadhis already. Okay, that's impressive. Okay, and full lotus. Okay, we also taught to sit in full lotus as well. Okay, see, all these are actually in parallel. It's the same thing we're doing. Okay, we don't necessarily stress 3, 7, or 10 days except for guru. Okay, and some people, it's because we are slightly different in that we have to work. We cannot afford. We don't have enough manpower. So I can't afford to have you sit for 3, 7, or 10 days. It's never the emphasis. Okay, we're way too short-handed, and so there are ways to. I feel the better ways than 7, 3, or 10 days. Anyway, but this is very Asian, very Chinese. Okay, so if you have no teacher, this is the way to go, because notice that he really did not have any teacher. He didn't say, I went, shaved my head, and followed, great master so-and-so at all. So you see, so he had to sit for 7, 10 days. Notice the difference here, okay? Whereas in the Master YongHua, they're even better than us because there's many more of them than us. But they worked too. They didn't sit much. Very few could sit. Yes, 3.
Thank you, Master. Listening to Great Master Shenhua's story here, that wasn't clear to me. Did Master Jian, when it says he left the home life, did he just leave the home life on his own, or is he practicing under a good knowing advisor?
Back over here later, he says it's no desolate place and not many people, not lots of land. Unlike right now, where it's a Uyghur, there's a lot of Uyghurs there. Was any Buddha Dharma, meaning there's no teacher at all. So what he had to do is meditate in order to be, when you're on your own, you have no teacher, then you have to sit. Go for long sits like Master YongHua did as well. Okay? The difference being that Master YongHua got much higher level. That's why he says, I will give you a shortcut. You don't have to sit like I did. Okay? So that's the difference. He sat long enough to see, that's what it takes to break through. And then there are shortcuts later. And that's what he transmitted his disciples. I don't know how, but because I wasn't there. Okay, and he never really personally trained me, so I don't know how. But I'm pretty sure that because I looked at their foundation, they don't have the precept foundation I erroneously thought that you would need in order to make it. So I had to go to Taiwan and try to learn from them, and found out they couldn't teach. They only teach the words. They couldn't understand the true meaning behind it. Anyway, and it's not a criticism. I'm just disappointed that when you teach people and they have problems, they couldn't solve them. Okay, if I teach you to do Chan and you have problems, okay, then I need to help you solve those problems. Otherwise, you'll be stuck. Okay, and that's part of teaching. You can't just tell them to sit for 3-5 days or fast for a long time, and when they have problems, you just I don't know. Okay, so that was my disappointment. Is that I went there and I saw them. I said, yes, you know a lot about the marks, about the description, but you really don't know why it is so. That's why when people violate precepts, you don't know how to help them solve these violations. And that's very Buddhist. We teach you these things, the precepts, so that we know full well that you will violate them. And that's why we have to be able to help you how to restore, how to restore yourself, how to resolve these violations. Of course. That's very, very Buddhist, very compassionate. But what's the point in teaching you, make you suffer, and then we don't do anything for you? And that's complete Mahayana, by the way. So if you teach you precepts, and you okay, good luck. If you violate precepts, and you say, oh, good luck, I can't help you there, then we're not teaching all of the precepts. Part of precept is to know how to recover. Okay? And that's very unfortunate for me. I saw that and I said, well, wait a minute, you're teaching me these things and you have, I too, like these people who have problems, and you can't help me solve problems, and then why am I here? So anyway, he had no advisor back then. So next best thing is to meditate. Now, when I said that, I need to give you a caveat. Okay? Again, when you meditate by yourself, okay, you always have a time limit. You don't meditate blindly. For example, many of the Koreans here, they work very hard, very diligent, Well, the Koreans love the practice of Hua-To. The whole nation, the whole Buddhist, most Buddhists practice Hua-To. And the rule for Hua-To is that you practice 3 years. You don't make progress, you quit, you find something else. So the wisdom, the rule of thumb is that there's always a time limit, okay? Because the objective is always you improve, nonstop. Not just Koreans, it has to be with the Vietnamese, with the Chinese, with Sri Lankans, with Thai people and so forth. But and when I talk like that, I put myself under a lot of pressure because monks and nuns don't talk like that. Notice that. Because then the monks and nuns look at me and say, you just talk and you just make us look bad. So I put a lot of pressure on them and therefore they're not happy with me. It's understandable. But someone has to tell you what Mahayana is about and what are the standards of Mahayana. Okay? If I claim to you that you're not supposed to be comfortable, you're supposed to suffer, and I, on the other hand, stay safe and hide behind my podium, okay? And my disciples, and my temples, and my walls, that I'm safe and you're not, then there's double standards. If you're not comfortable, you're not safe, neither am I. Because me too, I'm no Buddha, I'm no Bodhisattva, I need to struggle just like you as well. Make sense? All right, so he had no advisor, unfortunately. So he meditated, he did very well, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. When you heard in Mahayana, Master Xu Yun, the predecessor to Master YongHua, he would sit for weeks, months. Good for him. But let me caution you, okay? In my temples, you don't do that. Okay? You work. We work. Just like you, I work as well. Okay? So we're different, okay? So then he said after, because there's no teacher, so he had to do sanfang, okay? Meaning he would go to places and try to pick up wisdom, tips from people. You see, it's so similar to right now, where there's no reference, there's no standards at all. The only thing that you people who are blessed are told about the Master YongHua and his disciples, okay? So that's where you should go to look for the proper teaching, okay? Unfortunately, I happen to disagree with the way they teach. That's why I don't want to be associated with them. I love Master YongHua to death. I think he's one of the best teachers ever in the history of Buddhism in the last few centuries. Much better than Master Xu Yun, that's a prior century, you know, and even before that, I don't know anyone who comes even close to Master YongHua. Just how big he is. But what the standard he set in our country, it's just so high that I'm disappointed it got lost. Okay, so this is what happens. People then have to, like Chu Yen had to go and look for people, just wonder. Okay, this is typical of the Hinayana people. They wonder. Okay, and it's a form of practice which makes sense when you think about it. Okay, if I were to wander, if you ask me, I would not wander from city to city. You know what where would I wander? I will wander in the wilderness, not city to city. All right? There, as you say, you go and find a place and they settle there. I will wander from places to places. It would be such a macho thing, you know, hey, are you man enough to wander in the wilderness and survive? Huh? Anyone? Soju? Do you dare? Huh? There's no more computers. You cannot draw. Nothing. You have nothing whatsoever. It's such a macho thing. You know what I mean? Okay, so he had to wander from places to places, and I hope that in the future, in your generation, okay, third generation, the fourth generation, we should have names in places where people can come and learn Mahayana from you. You will not necessarily reach the same level of Master YongHua, but many of you will be good enough and higher than his disciples. That's my goal, so that people can come and learn the proper Dharma from you. Okay? You and your children. All right? And so we need to have, I hope we have that referral system where, where people can come and really learn. And we're getting started, by the way. We're flooding, our standards, our views on Mahayana on the internet. And that's why we invest a lot of time and resources in doing that, instead of, statues behind me. Okay, I'm so ashamed. I feel so inferior, so inadequate as a monk, because monks, people come to me and say, "How your temple needs statues. We come to the temple, we want statues." I said, "I cannot afford statues. All my statues are given to me." If not, I will not buy it, because my money goes into technology, internet, computers, software, and so forth. Every time we put on something like this, it's several people, computer equipment, internet connections, two internet high-speed connections, tons of computer equipment, and so forth. So that's the direction we're going, is knowledge and training. So it's because you want nice statues and beautiful temples. There's plenty of them out there. We'll never be able to rival them. Okay? Yeah. So anyway, so I hope that your generation, you help us go in that direction, where I train people. I will train a lot of people so that they can go to places. We start in Korea already, okay? And in Korea, okay, yes, we're starting to learn. My ambassador there is still learning the ropes, okay? But be patient with me, because I'm training him. And if you come to my temple, you are being trained by me as well. So you don't have to panic and say, how come that, a master is different and his student, the abbot over there, is different? He's helping you, train you a certain part of the path, okay? And when the time comes, I will, certain part of the way. When the time comes, I will teach both of you, him as well as the rest of you as well. And for example, there's no reason for me to teach Chan meditation beginners anymore, because my disciples are so talented, so good, have such a strong foundation that when I teach a beginner's class, I won't do that much better than they do. Okay, yeah. So that's why there's the division labor, where we are spreading it out, so that there's certain people have certain roles in our system, our organization, okay, so that we can do more with the limited resources we have, okay. So this guy here had a Sanfang. He traveled to places to wander around blindly and have no idea where he's going, and leave it to luck, okay. And now it's called Good No Advisor, okay? But actually, when you talk about Good No Advisor, there's about, I need to emphasize this for you. In my eyes, Good No Advisor preferably is referral, through referral. Because I suffered so much looking for a Good No Advisor like this guy here. Okay, And I went to places and places, read this guy and that guy, and you could not tell the difference. It doesn't matter. Okay, so in a way, I had this thirst and this suffered so much in order to see the inadequacies of the current system, so that we can do better. We should do so much better. Okay, I'm committed to, as you see, I'm committed to Southern California, I'm committed to Northern California, I'm committed to Korea, okay, the Seoul area there, okay, I'm committed to that, so I will continue to develop those areas. In the future, when I get more manpower, more support, I commit to going to the East Coast. I love New York. What's in New York? I forgot. People are outstanding, a lot of potential. Those people are so competitive, more so than the West Coast, okay? They're mercenaries, they're predators, okay? And I can turn them into worse predators, okay? So that they raise the standards. Those guys are relentless. So it's the kind of people I like, relentless. And I, so New York is definitely there, and we'll see. Maybe Chicago, we'll see. Okay, I happen not to like Florida, nor Texas. Okay, why not? You have to go where the people have potential and the political system has to be open and conducive to my doing my work. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so he's seeking a good advisor, and we need to have that network of good advisors so that you can go, you and your children can go from places to places, because each of them, we have different specialties. Okay? Besides, pretty soon you could go to Korea where you can watch the cherry blossoms. Okay? So it's kind of cool too. It keeps you open-minded. All right, continue, please. Oh, and then he went to he walked to other countries, okay? See, this guy is pretty impressive. He's not afraid to leave China. Very open-minded. That's impressive for a person like him. Now we travel a lot. We're much more open-minded. Back then, to leave a country, it's pretty drastic. Okay, walk to other countries. He walked to other countries. Another feat. So this guy, you listen to the story, you can tell this guy is unusual. This is a superior person, not an ordinary person at all. Okay, he's able, in his track record, to do things that are unusual, outstanding. Okay, and he came to a vihara. Vihara, I'm not sure I understand the meaning, but Qingshi here is that it's a house. It's a building, it's not a temple, so that people can live there and practice quietly, like a pure abode, if you will. So they go there and they're away from big gatherings like a temple. This is a small house, for example, or a small building where people just practice, meditate, or study and so forth. They don't organize a lot of Dharma assemblies. Okay? So more or less these types of places where the Buddhist disciples go there to support the people who cultivate, not necessarily to cultivate themselves, if you will. All right? Okay, continue.
摩天佛罗宗舍里面住着一位善知识，就是前面呢所讲的那个佛大仙，也就叫佛陀仙。
Inside Yamadara Vihara lived a good knowing advisor, Fo Da-xian, who we talked about earlier.
Did we?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we mentioned about him.
Okay, we talked about it. Continue.
He was also called Fo Tuo Xian.
Okay.
有一位善知识在这教化。
This good knowing advisor was here, teaching and transforming.
Okay, so this is a very important Chinese word, 教化. Okay? That's very Mahayana. This is what Buddhism is about. We need to 教, meaning we need to teach you. Teach what? Teach knowledge. Teaching is knowledge. That's why you go to school. You go to school to acquire knowledge. So the Chinese teacher is professor, is 教授. Okay, you impart knowledge. Okay, you give away, you transmit knowledge. That's called teaching. Okay, but in Buddhism, you don't simply transmit knowledge. This is so important. This is why the young monks and nuns fail miserably. You guys learn, your generation learn about knowledge. Okay? And you get a degree in Buddhology, or you go to a training program and you learn about this sutra and that sutra. That's knowledge. But that's not teaching. That's not what Buddhist monks and nuns are supposed to do. They're supposed to do 教化. You transfer knowledge for a purpose, to change them. Hua is transform. So you teach the knowledge and transform people. If you teach knowledge alone, you should be a professor. You should be teaching at universities. And that's why you go and get a PhD, master's, and go teach at universities. Okay? I would not be caught dead teaching at the university. I have certain disdain for universities, except for one professor. Okay, so rule of thumb: universities, I'm not impressed. If you spend time teaching universities, I have a problem with that. Okay, because in order to teach at universities, you must be accepted by your peers. Now, I don't want to be accepted by those people. I'm sorry, if they accept me, then I don't want to be among them. Okay? They should say, you're not good enough. Okay? You're no good. Then say, then I like to join you. But you say, well, come here and be a part of our faculty and help us teach. Nah, I'm not here to teach. I'm here to teach and transform. Teaching alone is not good enough, not good use of my time. Okay? So I have a problem with people, especially monks and nuns who go to universities to teach. I really have disdain for that. Okay? I'm very opinionated. Have you noticed by now, Martina? Very opinionated. But to me, Buddhism, this is why I learned from Master YongHua, which I'm so grateful again. I cannot stress enough how grateful I am for him to show the way for us. I don't always like his style and his approaches, especially for our era. But he's so sound. He's such a great teacher. 教化. So when you teach knowledge, you also must, at the same time, transform them. Otherwise, you don't transform them, what's going to happen? They become big-headed. They think they know everything. That's a problem. You go to universities, after you finish your training education program, get a PhD, you think you know everything about Buddhism, or you think you know everything about prajna, your prajna teaching, your specialty, or your agama teaching, your specialty, or shastra, your specialty, or great wisdom shastra, which is a lot of Taiwanese monks love to do. They said, I specialize in the great wisdom shastra. So all they do is elaborate on that. Or some other monks say, I specialize in Vinaya. Okay? And they can't even meditate. How can you specialize in Vinaya? You don't meditate. Yeah. So when you don't have any Samadhi power. So that's my problem. These people, they teach, but they don't know how to transform. Why? Because that knowledge you're giving to people is supposed to help transform them into what? An arrogant, self-serving, bitchy person? No, but kind and compassionate and a good person, not selfish at all. That's the job of a teacher. You need to transform them so that they become nicer people, more productive people of society. Happier. How about happier? You know how unhappy worldly people are? Am I wrong? Huh? They get older, they get more tired, and maybe in America, unlike other parts of the world, most of us end up making more money and become more financially secure, hopefully, as we get older. But you know what? That doesn't make us any happier. May have more power, may become an executive, may become very successful. I look at many successful, beautiful people, powerful people. They're very unhappy. Let me tell you, I've worked very closely with many of them. They're so unhappy. What's the point? To waste your life like that. And it's not just your life. It's your children's too. Because your children learn from you first. They look at you and say, okay, my mom like that, I'm going to be like that. So by being unhappy yourself, you are engendering a next generation who is just as unhappy as you are, if not worse, because it's getting worse for them. Climate change, inflation, pandemic, politicians. It's so sad that people manipulate all this beautiful human knowledge to serve themselves. There's no ideals anymore. Yes, 3.
Thank you, Master. I don't think it's possible to understate the importance of the concept of transformation. Because I know when I was studying in college, I would read books or I would study for exams and I'd retain some knowledge for a period of time, but it didn't really stick with me. But when you get in the workforce and you start applying yourself, that's when you start to gain skills and transform. Mm-hmm. That's been the same experience I've had learning to cross my legs and doing it. And in a small way, growing my compassion and my ability to empathize and connect with other people. And I'm very thankful for that. Very good.
That's I hope we can share the same values in that sense. We learn, the jiao here is the teaching. We learn the knowledge in order to transform ourselves. Okay? We need to transform ourselves into a better person. That's the purpose. We're not talking about getting rich, getting famous, becoming famous, how you become a great politician, a great emperor, a great president. Okay? We're talking about becoming a good person. And that's what makes society stronger and healthier. If we are not becoming a better person, you are destroying society. We're not helping. We're destroying society. At the rate we're going, we're destroying it. For our children, for our grandchildren, we're destroying it. And the only way for us to reverse the trend, and my friends asked, what do you do about all these problems? I said, the first thing you do, fundamentally, I have to be a better person to inspire my sons to be a better person, who will inspire their sons and daughters to be better people. That's how we reverse the trend. It takes good people to change for the better. It's not going to happen by itself. It takes manpower. It takes good people to contribute. It's not about living alone. You have a good life here in this country. You're so privileged. You have so many blessings. You have so much in your life already. You have so much material comfort. Okay? It doesn't make you any happier. Yes, too.
From Alex, how do we better practice so that when transformation comes, they stick? I feel my compassion growing, but also I feel my world is totally changing and feels better, but also terrifyingly unfamiliar. I have faith, but there is this gut level fear of radical change.
Don't think so much. Yes, 4. Thinking too much. To change takes baby steps. We're not talking about revolution here. We're talking about baby steps. You change your bad habits one at a time until you have momentum. Then you'll be taught how to change large scales. Right now, you don't have the skills to implement large scale changes. Yes, 4.
Thank you, Master. About 3 days ago, I had the opportunity to speak with a friend when I was in Colombia, and he started teaching me about like philosophy and different things. And I was sharing with him that I met you and that now I have a master and it's my good knowing advisor. And that he's teaching us like we have to endure the pain, through the full lotus position and things. And he said, but you know what? Just the pain doesn't exist. The pain is not real. And I didn't say anything because I'm no one to say like to him what to believe or anything. But as soon as we end the call, right to my mind comes an idea that you just don't say to people, like maybe like single mothers that are struggling with their babies or people that are really sick, that are suffering, just like, you know what? Feel is not real. Feel doesn't exist. And at that moment, I really understand that the teaching that you're giving us, Master, is just so beautiful. Just endure the pain. And finally, someday you're going to realize that it really doesn't exist. But, just as you said, like baby steps. And I'm so grateful for your teacher, Master. Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback. You see, these are secret recipes. It's like Alex, the person who asked who asked the last question. He says, tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more. It's not telling you more. It's about you doing more, endure more pain, and then you understand. Telling you more is like you reading another book. It doesn't do anything for you. Okay? You have to take baby steps again. Endure a little bit more pain today. Endure a little bit more pain tomorrow. Endure more of doing things that you're not comfortable. That's part of the transformation. Transforming yourself requires you to follow specialized instructions that ask you to do things that you don't like to do. That's so Mahayana. You have plenty of time in your daily life to go and do your karaoke and go watch soccer, football, enjoy yourself. And at some point in time, in order to restore balance in your soul, you need to suffer. So the people who indulge themselves, like us Americans here, us Westerners here, us in the 21st century, it's okay to indulge. It's a religion of self-indulgence. It's important. We understand that. It's okay to indulge. Okay? But in order to transform your heart, you need to suffer. Okay? And that's very Mahayana. And until you are willing to suffer more and more, you will not change. You won't change much. The more you're willing to suffer, I notice that. I notice the people, especially the Chan training. It's funny because I watch people, especially newcomers, who learn Chan and say, oh, why do you cross our leg? Why does it hurt so much? Okay, this totally doesn't make sense. And it's that those people who are willing to endure more and more and more, you notice their transformation is so much faster, so much bigger. That's a secret sauce, folks. That's from the Chinese. And you know what? The Chinese don't do it anymore. And the Koreans do it blindly. So this must be a compromise, you know? It's a proper way of doing it. Yes. All right? So that's so important. The purpose is, boys and girls, all of you, is transform yourself so that you can transform your children and the people you care for. Because they take a look at you and they said, I like you better. Now you're doing Chan. All this time, you can't walk, But you know what? Something happened to you. I like to spend more time with you. And when I spend time with you, I enjoy your company a lot more than before. That's what matters. Bottom line. Yes, too.
From Hung.
Hung? Can we have like whiskey name?
His car broke down and he's waiting for it to get towed.
Oh no.
Juan is helping him, but he has a question. Master, is
Oh
it,
no. Chanchi obstruction.
Master, is it okay if I can apply for a job closer to LA? Driving to Fountain Valley is too far and too risky for me.
So is he asking a question or asking for a job? If I had a job to give him, yes, son, you could have a job in LA. But I don't, so I say, good luck to you. How can I sit there and meditate when someone says, it's too dangerous for me to drive away from LA. Can you give me a job? Can you pray for me? I said, wait a minute, I'm supposed to get enlightened. I'm telling my people to get enlightened, and I'm not enlightened, and they're going to complain. Pretty soon they find out, and they say, you're all talk. You tell us to do, but you don't do. So much pressure. Anyone else? It's fun, folks. Let me tell you. And finally, my final thing to you is that people who said, why to suffer? Why? It doesn't make sense. Okay? When you're willing to suffer like that, okay, and people like Alex say, you have to give me a reason why I must continue. It's something much bigger than that. Okay? Much bigger than what I'm getting right now. I need some big concepts, lofty concepts. No. Ask these Koreans, why they're doing it? Why they work so hard? Because in the process and during the pain and the hunger and all those things, they discovered they're happier than before. Yes or no? I'm asking Koreans, I'm not asking you. Huh? It's okay, I will influence you. That's a secret. We ask you to work harder, endure more suffering, because as you struggle through that, you hate it. You hate it. Okay? You say, this is so terrible. This is so anti-American. But you know what? At one moment in there, sometimes, okay, when you are totally in strange territories, it hits you that, oh my God, it feels so good, much better than before. Okay? And that's all. And then it, unfortunately, it doesn't last very long. But because the interest, we want you to continue to suffer so that the next moment will come so that you feel even better than before. It's not for sheeps. It's not for whims. Yes, continue. Again, baby steps. I'm not asking you to leap off the building and experience that pain of crashing down there. Okay? We're asking you to endure a little bit more pain, that's all. And it makes your body healthier. Endure more pain. I'm serious. As one day you endure like 2 more minutes of pain in your legs, okay, your diabetes got a little bit more under control. I'm telling you, it's magical. If you're concerned about your health, enduring the pain, a little bit more pain, makes you healthier. You may not see it, but I'm telling you, it's from experience. A lot of things, these things we're helping you, we're offering to you, actually are extremely helpful, whether you see them or not. Okay, continue.
有几百人呢，在这里，各亲近这位善知识。其中呢，就有一位叫这个九贤法师。
A few hundred people were here, drawing near this good-knowing advisor. Among them, there was Dharma Master Jue Xian.
与智圆法师亲近佛陀仙，经过3年的时间。
For 3 years, Dharma Master Zhiyan drew near佛陀仙。
在这个3年的时间，他所学的这个佛法经典教导，超过其他人在那。
During these 3 years, he learned more Buddha Dharma, sutras, and principles than anyone else.
住10年，这个在那住10年的人，都没有他学的这么多佛法，这么多的教导。
People who lived there for 10 years, didn't learn as much Buddha Dharma and principles as he did.
所以这个佛陀仙呢，非常惊奇。所有一位善知识在这教化经典教导，超过其他人在那儿住10年。这个在那儿住10年的人，都没有他学的这么多佛法，这么多的教导。所以这个佛陀仙呢，非常惊奇啊！就是平常他们一个普通的人呢，一定是一个outstanding。
So,佛陀仙 was very surprised. This person is not an average or regular person. He must be an outstanding person.
Okay, so Chule Ba Cui, huh? Ba Cui? How do you pronounce this?
Chule Ba Cui.
Ba Cui. Okay, Ba Cui means what?
Outstanding.
The same thing? Chu Lei is outstanding. Above its kind. Okay, oh well. Julie, what do you think? You're teaching Chinese to your children about the same level. Ba Cui. Okay. So, let me fill it in for you. Fill some more details for you. So, he was there and learned during 3 years. Okay, only 3 years' time, he learned more about the Buddha Dharma, sutras, and the teachings more than anyone else. Okay, and so he's very smart. He learned there compared to people who lived there for 10 years, who stayed for 10 years, and didn't learn as much as he did. Okay, so this is a case in Buddhism that is explained as the fact that he has high level of samadhis and those people. That's why he's always able to absorb it faster, okay, than the other people. And it also means that this photo Xian here didn't quite emphasize developing samadhi power. It's more emphasizing more on the teachings, on the knowledge, on the Buddha Dharma, the sutras, and the principles, instead of developing of the samadhi. Okay. In contrast, our style is to do both. We teach you enough, okay, so that you develop samadhi power. As your samadhi power is developed, you need to teach you more so to get your knowledge deeper. So it's mutual. It has to be both, okay? So that's a difference. But anyway, this guy was Jingqi. Jing here has a little bit of fear in it, doesn't it? This Chinese character is fear. The teacher was scared. That's when you leave. Okay? When your teacher is scared of your progress, run. Not funny? Because he's going to harm you. If he's scared of you, he's scared of your progress, it's not good. So this is funny that Master Chin uses this word. Jing here he's so shocked, okay? And it's a fear, shock, it's a fear in there. And Qi is Qi Guai is so weird. This guy is not supposed to be like that. My student, none of them is like that. This guy's like an oddball. So this is not a good situation. Okay? Yes, go ahead too.
From Pingdeng Qingjing, Master, this time after or during Daniel's fast, his face was filled with a kind of energy that made me feel still, completely absence of negativity. At that point, I understood why Master said his monks and nuns looked more and more attractive. I also noticed that I felt positive, or perhaps absorbing Daniel's positive energy every time I was driving him after his fast.
Just tell him, I love you, babe. Stop beating around the bush. You're more lovely than before. Fast some more. Oh, God. This woman here keeps on beating around the bush. This is America, not Korea or China. It's okay to say, I love you. And ask him to marry you. What is the matter with you? Okay. Oh, good Lord, these people, the Chinese, you know how Chinese it is? It's beat around the bush. Oh, it looked nice. It looks so, this. Let's do it. The Koreans are blushing. It's United States. I would never joke like this in your country, okay? But this is not an average regular person, outstanding person, okay? I didn't like this word, 惊奇. I mean, if my teacher has an attitude towards me, I run, okay? Okay, continue. Let's make it clear.
他的一赞叹，他以下这个人呢，对他的看法也是不同的，就说
Once佛陀Xian praised Dharma Master Zhiyan,佛陀Xian's followers all looked at Dharma Master Zhiyan differently.
Okay, there is a question from Konk.
Master, so what are the principles mean?
What?
In the slide, he learned Buddha Dharma's trust and principles. What does that principle mean?
Principles means, honey, that you should be a good person, not be a nasty person. Even when people are not nice, they are not good people, you still are nice to them. That's the principle. You never harm anyone. That's a principle. No matter how evil they are, that's a principle. Okay? The principle is that the right things, the principles are the profound teachings of Buddha Dharma, which is can translate, it doesn't matter how much you learn, it's to translate into you becoming a good person and a better person tomorrow, even a better person tomorrow and the day after and so forth and so forth. Okay? And that's the principle. You become better, a better person. Okay? It has nothing to do with being a happy person. It's about being a better person, a gooder person. Okay? Yeah. And look at this. So the master was shocked. Photo Xian was shocked, and he praised Chư Yen. Okay, and then and to the point where the followers look at Chư Yen differently. Okay. Then why did he praise him? You see, this I have a problem immediately. If he praised him and made the other disciples look at Chư Yen differently, now all of a sudden Chư Yen becomes a celebrity. He might, get a big head, big nose. Isn't it better? If I were Chư Yen, I would have preferred that Photo Xian would beat me up and say, "You are such a worthless person, evil person," so that people look down upon me. I don't know, different style, I guess. Huh? What do you think? I know you Asians would love, Master, I want Master to praise me because I'm special. Yes, you are special, but you don't need me to praise you. I only need to praise Xian Tong, and then that's enough. Okay? All right. But people look at, all of a sudden you have all these, you create all these people, how all of a sudden these people you draw attention to Chư Yen, I don't know. I have a problem with this. I think he should have yelled at them equally, all of them. Okay. Yes, 3.
Thank you, Master. I know you're not going to praise others here, but would it be okay if I did for just a minute?
Okay, we can try it.
Thank you. When the Chanchi started, I kind of made like a private commitment to myself to try and come to every.
Oh, you're praising yourself.
Every lecture.
Oh, that works.
I'm setting the level of praise. I kind of made a private commitment to myself to try and come to every lecture, and I failed, of course, and for different reasons. And I wanted to say how just incredibly impressive it is to me that there's so many people here who have come to every lecture. There's so many obstructions that can happen and so many things that can get in the way that it's just it's so impressive. And when the last 2 days, my wife and I, we took the booster shot and we got knocked on our butts and just couldn't move. And so we're watching from home and participating that way. But to know that everyone here has just been consistently coming is just so impressive. And I just wanted to share my gratitude and appreciation for that.
Yeah. All of you. Yeah. Yeah, it's very impressive. I meant to tell you that as well. All of you are pretty impressive in that you're such a steady students, steady cultivators. That's what it takes. You baby step every day, okay? Don't worry about like Alex, he says, tell me what's ahead. You know, it's about grinding it out and doing it day after day after day. And don't worry about so much about looking ahead into the road because it's more confusing and you don't have to worry about that. That's my job. My job is to lead you there. But I will need to remind all of you as well, especially Alex and such newcomers, that I won't tell you which path we're taking. You're not supposed to know. Okay? That's how you get there sooner. So don't worry so much about it. Just follow instructions. Okay? So let me remind you. I tell you to do something. You're told to do something by me, my instructors. Do your best. Have you done everything possible to follow the instructions? Do that first. Don't ask for more. Okay? More will come naturally. Don't be greedy. Don't be impatient. Okay? It's about do it day in, day out, day in, day out. Okay? And yes, there's some days you're tired, some days you don't feel good, some days you're so depressed, some days you miss your husband so much because no one else here is nice to you. But you still, put on a brave face, you go and listen, okay? And some days maybe your mom passes away. Oh yeah, our condolences. And it's tough, but you continue. All right, that's what it is. This is why if you look at the outsiders look at us and said, 10 weeks, 9 weeks, and so forth, 7 weeks, 3 weeks of Chanchi, that's impossible. That is scary. No, we don't think 7 weeks, 10 weeks. We think about going here and then we do 1 day at a time. Okay, that's it. 1 more day, 1 more day, 1 more day. Okay. Survive 1 more day. That's all. It's tough. It's so tough that you can only look 1 day at a time because you're not sure you can continue tomorrow because it's so tough. It's so demanding. Yes, old monk.
A Di Đà Phật. Con ở đây cũng là gần 9 năm rồi. Nhưng mà cái khóa thiền thất này con rất là có ấn tượng là những cái quý vị đại hàng này từ bên nửa vòng trái đất mà qua đây. Đương nhiên đi như vậy là bỏ bất biết bao nhiêu công ăn việc làm, thời gian, gia đình. Nhưng mà người ta qua đây người ta tu. Thì từ cái ấn tượng đó mà con cho một người một số ít xá lợi thôi. Thì ngày hôm sau cái cô mà trẻ nhất đó, lập tức có 2 ngôi sinh ra ở cái phòng của cậu. Thì cái anh Lâm, anh người Tàu, anh có rất nhiều xá lợi của Thái Lan. Anh tới đây anh nghe như vậy thì anh mới lấy cái xá lợi anh đang đeo trên ngực đó. Anh nói cái này tôi đang đeo 6 năm nay rồi, 50.000 đô tôi không bán đó. Nhưng mà nghe cái cô đó như vậy, ảnh cho không. Thì bữa nay cổ tuyệt thực lần thứ 2 đó. Rồi cái cô trẻ nhất thứ 2, con ở đây người nữ, con có hỏi tên nhưng con có biết. Cô trẻ đại hàng đây nè. Thì con quan sát con thấy là...
Now they're going to look at her differently.
Dạ. Rồi bây giờ con thấy cái cô trẻ thứ 2 này đó. Thì cái linh cảm của con cho mỗi người một cái ngôi để mà pháp khí, để mà tu với tiến bộ thôi. Hồi lúc họ mới qua. Thì cái cô trẻ thứ 2 này chiều cho con coi là sinh ra 3 ngôi con. Ngoài cái duyên mẹ có sẵn. Rồi hồi chiều này, hồi 3 giờ thì cái cô mà... Con này con cũng không hỏi tên, người nữ con không có nói chuyện nhiều. Con biết chứ không hỏi tên, nhưng mà đi tuyệt thực mà ngồi thiền mà dẫn theo con. Thì chiều này con vô đây thì cổ mới nói nhỏ nhỏ là cổ đang ngồi thiền, đang fast, đọc chú Đại Bi. Thì cô nghe cái message là bảo đi xuống phòng đi, lượm xá lợi. Thì con không tin, con biểu dẫn con xuống coi. Thì xuống cái phòng rất là messy. Vậy mà cái duyên xá lợi bề lớn mà cô nhìn được, cô lượm được. Thành ra thấy rất là, cái khóa tiền này rất là ấn tượng, như thầy nói rất khó khăn. Chỉ làm từng bước thì tự biết. Xin hết.
Master, I've been here for 9 years and I have to admit that this Chanchi is very impressive. First of all, I am very admired that the Korean people, a lot of them that travel half of the globe to come over here, they sacrifice their work, their family time to come here in order to practice. And because of that, I gave some of them the Sharira. So one of the youngest lady, I gave her the Sharira, and then right after that, she found 2 baby Sharira in her room. And there was a Chinese guy. He heard her story, and then, he was wearing the Sharira. He said, I've been wearing this one for 6 years, and then even if people paid me $50,000, I won't sell. And then he took it up and give it to her. So it's very impressive. And then there's the second young lady. I don't know her name because I don't really talk or look at the woman that close. But then I got a feeling that she's very diligent, so that's why I gave her the Sharira. And then she just showed me that she got 3 new baby Sharira. And today at 3 p.m., just recently, and then there's another lady, I don't know her name, but it's very impressive that she comes here to fasting, and then she also brought her daughters together with her. And she told me that she was fasting, she was reciting Great Compassion Mantra, and she heard the message, told her, go down to your room to pick up the Sharira. And she followed the message, and she went out to the room. Her room is very, very messy, but for some reason, she found the Sharira right there. So whatever Master say, it's true that it's very impressive, it's very difficult. We just have to focus on one baby step at a time.
Very good. Yeah. Impressive. Congratulations to all of you. You have careers that I don't. You won't look at me the same way anymore. Okay. It's not just here, but also in San Jose as well. People have been coming and trying the best, and they working hard as well, including in Korea as well. You know, at Jewel Mountain Temple, people have been working hard, making a lot of sacrifices, okay, to be there and to practice. Same thing at Conch and so forth. So it's we all are working hard, and I'm very glad you all are working hard and making a lot of sacrifices, and that's what makes you very special. I think you're all very special. Don't go home. It's an American joke. You know what I mean? Anyway, today is a day when a very famous person says, "You're very special. Go home, okay?" And I'm telling you, today is a very special day. Don't go home. Okay, so continue. Oh, no, time is up. Any other final questions, comments? It's just like, you know, that guy who gave that $50,000 shareers away, all I can want to say is that put it on eBay. Please. You know, it's funny. It's funny. I find it funny because what's impressive is that the behavior, your behavior, open his heart. You know, when you can wear something this for a long, long time, they're very precious to you, you're willing to part with it, it means his heart opened up. You're transforming others with your own actions. Think about that. Speaking of transformation, it's not about me transforming you. You are transforming others around you. Isn't that cool? That's why you're so special. Don't go home. Yes? Anyone else? Yes, 9 in the back.
Master, so today's such a great day for me. So since I started, this time it wasn't as easy as last time I fast. Last time, you know, I had so much energy, and it flew by really quick, you know, really smooth. So this time I was experiencing so much pain, and it was harder for me to meditate, but still I will get up in the middle of the night, and I was like just thinking like, oh my God, I'm such a failure because you know, I felt like I was not experiencing as the other time because it went easy. I was like, what's going on? And just, you know, today, I mean, so I just continue, and, you know, so I have been cooking while fasting. I have been doing a lot of work, and I was like, maybe because I'm doing that, I'm not experiencing the same, you know, smoothness as last time. So I was like, okay, it's okay. I'm just gonna continue.
But no more, huh? No more next year. This is the last year.
And so today I have been doing the Great Compassion these past days. And today, so I say I'm gonna do that. I have been doing the offering. And so my niece and my daughters went downstairs, and I stay here, and then I sit down for 30 minutes because that's the most that I can stay sitting down. But after that, I thought I'm going to just walk around the Buddha Hall or go downstairs and walk. So when I finish my time, so here comes a message to go downstairs. and sweep the floors. And so I'm really obedient. So I went downstairs and I was depleted in my energy. So I started sweeping, and I don't have my glasses, but I could see the Sharira. It was yellow gold.
Oh,
so
no.
bright. Yeah.
Wow.
It was so amazing because I didn't turn on the light in the room, and I don't have glasses. I'm so depleted in energy. And I was like, I know I saw a Sharira. And so I started looking through the floor, and I said, maybe I am imagining.
Yeah,
So
you went crazy.
Well, then
It's a lack of nutrition in the body that
and then he says,
gives you
continue.
hallucinations.
That's what I thought. And then he says, continue. So I continue sweeping.
Is that a male voice or female voice?
It was a male voice.
Was not Peter's voice.
And oh my God, I like, Master. So when I was about to clean the dust, something told me to look on this side, and I saw it, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a Sharira. Oh, I got so excited.
I would too.
But then the Sharira, when we were looking at the color, is clear yellowish, and I was like, "Where is the gold?" It's not gold, like a golden color. But I'm so happy, Master. I was like, "Oh my God, it paid off." These fasting, and just right now I did an hour that I couldn't do before, just even in the afternoon. Even I have been trying. So to go for an hour, that was like so impressive.
An hour doing what?
Sitting down.
Sitting for an hour.
Yes. So that's really good. There is other stuff, Master, but that happened today altogether. So I'm extremely in bliss. Yes.
Yeah. You see, it's different than the last time. Last time is smoother. This time is a lot more bumpy. But, that's the way it is. Okay? And again, the same common thread, now I want to tell you in closing, is that this is only possible that we're all able to cultivate, whether it's us, people here at the temple, as well as the lay people, whether you come to help out or come and practice, you made a lot of sacrifices. It's a lot of sacrifices, okay? And for that, I'm very grateful. Okay? You're on the right track. You cannot become a good person, a better person, unless you're willing to make more sacrifices. Okay? You're very special. Don't go home.